What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell. I'm coming to you guys live today from Delray Beach, Florida, Scott Woolley Studios. I have a treat for you guys today. This guy is literally a machine of muscle and mindset. A TV star, an Instagram star, an influencer, a coach, a massive entrepreneur. I mean, even a Mormon, I guess. He's got daughters. He's got wives. He's got an amazing story. I want you to meet Keaton Hoskins, a.k.a. The Muscle. What's up, bro?
How you doing, my man? I appreciate you having me on.
It's so great to meet you. I'm going to tell you, I'm a 68-year-old guy. I spent my entire life on Wall Street, and I spent 10 years in prison, federal prison. And I've been out for a bit. I'm an influencer. I'm an educator. I'm a coach. I'm building a media company called Raw Media, and you are basically as raw as it gets from what I can tell. And I've never heard of you, never heard of your show, and I did a little homework on you, and I have to tell you the truth. I was fascinated with the guy that you are and the guy you've become, the way you express yourself. You are entertaining, interesting, intelligent. You offer so much wisdom. You have so much life experience. We're sort of like East Coast, West Coast dudes. But I think that's why I didn't know. But I feel so privileged to have you, my man. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. I'm honored to be here and honored to spend some time with you.
I like to dial the clock back because I'm very much a linear type thinker. So I understand you. You were born and you grew up in Utah. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Raised in a Mormon family. Is that fair to say?
Yep. Raised Mormon in an LDS family and did the whole mission thing. I was a missionary for 2 years in Seattle and did the whole thing.
I want to tell you how I listened to your podcast so carefully, but you went on your mission. You were 21 because of prison and the jail and all that story. I love that stuff. But you still a Mormon or no? You still practicing?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Still
okay.
Practicing. I'm not the best poster child for it. I don't follow, all the rules, but firm believer and still a hard goer at it.
It's not a contest, bro, right?
Yeah.
Not a contest.
You know what? I tell people all the time, it's like, dude, at the end of the day, no matter what religion you are, the truth is that the real metric is your relationship with God. And no matter what is taught in the religion, no matter what is said, whatever it is, the real metric as to who you are and what you do is your relationship with the God that you say that you believe in. And we're in a society where most people will say they believe, but their actions never really show it. And that's in any religion, that's very apparent. And so I always tell people, I don't care what religion you are. I just want to know you have a great relationship with God.
I love that. And that's exactly how I feel. It's very personal to me. And I like to say, I don't believe in God. I know God. And God knows me. And, he's really raked me over the coals a little bit, but I guess that's what he does to his warriors, right? You sharpen lead with lead. So you're a young man growing up in Utah. The muscle, that comes, I know, much later, I think. But you're a big guy physically? How tall are you?
Yeah, I'm 6'3", about 275 pounds. I've been that since I was probably 15. I've always been a big guy.
Okay.
I've recently undergone a little bit of a fitness change. I'm trying to get healthy rather than just be the biggest guy. I just want to be healthy now, so I'm on my way down. I'm trying to get down to 250, but still a pretty big guy.
I love that. So now that answers a question for me. And that's just great. How old a guy are you today?
37. I'll be 38 in a few months.
Do you know I've done that like twice? That's really crazy. So I mean, that's really cool. You've really done so much. I thought you were much older, but I'm looking at you. I'm saying, no, he's
it's just the gray in the beard that sets people off. They think I'm 45 or 50, but I've had this gray beard since I was like 25. I think it was all the stress of all the things I did when I was younger.
I'm pretty sure that you put that gray in just to appear a little older and wiser. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's how my mind works, right? So, all right. So you're a Mormon kid growing up in Utah. What was it like growing up, in your family and your neighborhood and school and all that?
I grew up with a very, very powerful father that was very adamant about education, 9 to 5. He always said, the safest and the best route in life is to go to school, work your way up in a company, 401k. He really hit that home with us. My father ended up passing away when I was 21, and the last few years of his life, he was very sick. And I watched his company that he told me was the safe route kind of throw him to the wind.
Right.
And when he passed away at 21, I ultimately realized that there is no safe route. And I realized that for me to get out of life what I wanted, it was going to be on my back. I couldn't ever work for somebody. I didn't do well in school. I couldn't follow direction. I was the kind of guy that ultimately I would rather sink on my own ship than I would sell on somebody else's. And so at a very young age, through essentially doing the opposite of what my dad taught me, I realized that being an entrepreneur was going to be the only life that I could do to create the life that I wanted. So at a really young age, I started building companies. And that's ultimately how, at this point, I've had, I don't know, 50, 60 companies that I built or bought that have allotted me the lifestyle that I have.
I love that. Just so you know, I'm 68 years old. I've never had a job my whole life. People say, "What are you talking about?" I said, I never wanted anybody to tell me how much money I could make. I thought that was like the
Yeah.
stupidest thing in the world. Like when
Yeah.
you're a kid, you're like, "Mom, Dad, can I get some money?" And they give me an allowance in exchange for doing some chores, and and that was the end of it for me. I went out
Yeah.
and said, how do I make some money? This is crazy. And
100%.
I've been attracted to opportunities that I mostly sought out that made sense, meaning I could make as much money as I could earn. So I never saw these guys that they got a job and they're bragging they're working overtime, and I'm like, what does that mean? It means that you're killing yourself and throwing you a few extra pennies. Go
Yeah.
fuck yourself.
And that's one of the things that I teach now is most people don't realize that the time and the energy they put into building something for someone else, they could put into themselves and they could build their own, whatever that is, right? And I'm adamant now, one of the courses and programs I teach is how to buy or start a business for very little money and take the expertise that you have, whatever it is. Maybe it's sales, maybe it's communications, maybe it's CPA, maybe you're a good CEO, maybe you're a good operator, and go and put that effort into building something for you. And listen, I don't think every human should be an entrepreneur, but I think a lot more people that aren't should be. And I teach that very specifically with people. It's like, dude, you are wasting your life away on a comfort paycheck of $120,000 a year when you could be making 10x that building your own shit, which ultimately I figured out when I was really young. I was the same as you. I was like, wait, I can dictate my paycheck. I can dictate my income, and it only gets down to how much I want to work and how much I want to grind and how much energy I want to put in. I remember making hundreds of thousands of dollars as a really young kid thinking, I'm never going to work for somebody because that will never suffice what I know my capabilities are. And that's when I was off to the races. I could never work for a human being. Even today, I don't care how much you paid me. 10 billion, I couldn't work for you because it doesn't make sense in my soul. I have to be the one that dictates my life and my income, and that's what has served me the best.
I agree with that, but I will tell you this: for 10 billion, you got me, bro. I'll get on my hands and knees and crawl to Utah because I know the value of money.
For
And
sure, for
I
sure.
teach the same kind of things, and I believe in mentorship and mastermind. There's no other way to get there. That's the only
Yes.
shortcut, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that. But I want to walk through your life a little bit. So I know that you had some issues as a big guy. You got into some fights. You spent a minute in like a county jail. Someone said, you got to check this guy out. You're gonna love him, bro. He even did time. And I'm like, yeah, he was in county jail for like 5 weeks. Guess what? I
Yeah,
did
it wasn't
100.
long. It was only 2 months. It
I
wasn't
did
very long.
my trial. My federal trial was longer than you spent in prison. And just so you understand, so I'm a different type of cat, but
Yeah.
I feel like I got a good feeling about you. I listen to. I want to tell you this, and it's a compliment to you and to the Sea Boys. I have no idea who they are, but my team advanced me a podcast. They said, "Listen, if you want to get to know this guy, you're really going to dig him," and they know me. And I said, all right, begrudgingly, I put you on and I'm listening and I'm listening. And I find myself an hour later, I'm still listening. And that doesn't happen to me. Not Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet David, nobody. So I want you hold a record for
I
getting my
appreciate that very much.
attention. I want you to know that I'm saying this, on camera. This is going to last forever. That the muscle, my bro Keaton and the Sea Boys, whoever these kids are, I thought it
They're
was
just
very
some
funny. You were
cats to
just
do some funny YouTube stuff, but
well,
they're good dudes.
you were running the show, and I was enthralled with your ability to captivate. You're a tremendous sales guy. You get it. You're a communicator, which is to me the single most important thing. It's like breathing to me. So
Absolutely.
now you're 21 years old. You had a bunch of stuff go on in your life, and you decide you're going to go on a mission. Now, a lot of people don't understand the Mormon faith, the concept of missions. Explain it to the audience because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. So ultimately, in our faith, we believe that if you really believe this stuff, you should go share it, And so it's actually at 19, you decide like you're going to go out and you're going to do it. And for me, it was a really big decision. I knew my father was sick, from the time I was about 10 all the way up until he passed away. I knew that he didn't have a long time. And when I decided to go on my mission, I actually had to reconcile with the idea that my father may not be there when I got home, which was a really hard decision.
Wow.
But what I ultimately said was, hey, I want to go out. I want to serve God. I want to do what I believe in my core. And if I really believe it, I should share it. And so I went out. You go out for 2 years. You don't have a ton of communication with your family. They ask you to stay focused on the work that you're doing. You go out there and you share the gospel of Jesus Christ the best way that you know how. And ultimately, most of my success in my life came from that experience, because I'll tell you, there's nothing harder to sell than God. Like, it's a hard thing. And the reality is I went to maybe one of the hardest places in America. I went to Seattle, which is filled with agnostics and atheists and every kind of faith. And it was a hard battle. But what I learned was how to communicate, how to master a stranger, how to have a conversation out of midair, how to get people to connect to you, how to learn to read people, all those massive skills I learned at 19. And literally knocking on doors 8 hours a day, I learned the value of understanding a no doesn't mean anything.
Nothing.
So many people in their lives, they're so afraid to do something because they're afraid to hear a no.
Correct.
They never truly reach their full potential because they're like, well, what if they say no?
What if
they say no?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm 100 no's away from a yes, so I got work to do. And I learned that really quickly, and it helped me to understand the concept of life, which was whatever is meant for me will come, and whatever isn't will pass away. And I just need to continually seek that which is meant for me. If I'm here to share a message with somebody and I got 100 people to get through until I find that one person, then I got some work to do. And when I got back from my mission, I realized I could implement that same understanding into success of anything that I wanted. And that's ultimately why I became an entrepreneur. I got home from my mission at 21. My father lived for about 2 months after I got home. And I had some really valuable conversations with him. One of those, I asked him really specifically, I said, Dad, are you afraid to die? And he said, no, I'm not. I'm afraid to leave you and my children and my wife without me. And I made a very specific promise. It was probably, I shouldn't have made it, but I said, Dad, I don't want you to worry about that. I will take care of the family. I will take care of mom, and I will do what I need to do to fulfill whatever it is you would have if you would have still been here, which was a huge promise, right?
Huge.
And from that time, I literally put that responsibility on my back and said, I dictate my success, and my success is a really simple one. If I don't kill it, they won't eat. And so I have to go out and become successful. I put my back against the wall and said, I got to go to work. And one of the most beautiful moments of my life was as my siblings started to get older. I was the oldest of 5. There was times in their lives they needed dad, but I was able to step in financially and take care of them. And about 4 years ago, I actually sat my mom down here in my office and I said, hey, Mom, I want to retire you. You're done. If Dad was still here, he would have wanted me to do this because he would have wanted that for you. Right. And I handed her a card. I said, listen, I'm not giving you cash. I'm just giving you a card. You put all your expenses, whatever you want to spend, this is yours. I want you to retire. And it was ultimately one of the most beautiful moments in my life that I was able to fulfill that promise. And it only came because I was an entrepreneur and built the wealth that I wanted to build. And I'll tell you, it is a really powerful moment for a 30-year-old kid to say to his mother, "Hey, mom, I love you. Dad's not here, but I'm stepping up to do what he would have done. You're 58 years old, and I want to give you the life you deserve, and I want to retire you."
I love that story. The only bad news I have for you is you got plenty of years left. I hope you have a good financial planner because it gets
I definitely
friggin',
do.
bro, it gets friggin' expensive. You
Trust
have
me,
four.
I've learned it.
I have one brother I've been looking after my whole life. Our mother just passed, and he's now okay for life. I now
Yeah,
can worry just about me and my own
I
family
love,
now. So I
I love that.
understand.
Yeah,
My dad
I
passed
learned
away at
that.
16
Oh,
when I was
okay. So
16,
you know, so
and
you
and
know.
and at some point in his life, he said to me, my firstborn. You're my oldest. You got to make sure that you always take care of your brother." And I've been looking after this kid my whole life. And
I tell people all the time, one of the most valuable blessings I ever got was the death of my father. A man, or I should say a boy, doesn't really become a man until he loses his father, because that is the man that's the net for you. When you lose that net,
correct.
it's
There's no
time for
net.
you to step up. And when I was 21 and I
Yeah.
had siblings all the way down till 10 years old, guess what? I had no choice but to step up in a very powerful manner to become a leader in my family, financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. And it has allotted all the success that I have. One of my favorite quotes by Sun Tzu, he says, if you want to become successful, you got to get on death ground. And he says death ground is when you have two choices. You either succeed or you die. And he
Correct.
says that warriors on death ground will fight with 3 times the amount of power when they are on death ground. When your father dies and you are the oldest, you are then placed on death ground. No one's there to help you. No one's coming to save you. And I
Yep.
realized that at 21, and it has allotted all of the success that I've seen in my life up to this point.
I love it, bro. And you're full of at such a young age. You're full of so much wisdom. And I'm just going to say this to you as an older guy: you're going to need it
I
because
know.
you're not done. I mean,
Definitely not done.
trust me, I was worth $300 million,
Wow.
written up in Forbes, big Wall Street guy. And then one day, the government comes waltzing into my life. I'm 49 years old. Next thing you know, I'm fighting for my life. They're grabbing everything. So, you just got to take it one day at a time, be humble, and continue to swallow and process all this wisdom that you've come in touch with. It's really a privilege to listen to you, at such a young age, because I'm not joking. You're going to need it. And now you have
I
five
appreciate.
daughters. Guess what? They never leave. They say your son, he turns 21. You see him, say goodbye. That's the story. He only comes around when he needs you. Daughters, they never leave.
Yeah.
My wife is with my daughter, each daughter 5 times a day, and they're in their 20s and they're successful. But
Yeah.
they're just, I don't know, needy or cling. I don't know what the right word is, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing because they're the glue that,
Uh huh.
keeps the family. But because
Yeah.
men like us go out into the world, we go hunting every day, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So now
Yep.
you're 21. You come back from the mission. You literally get dropped off in neighborhoods by some guy that oversees you, right? And you walk
Yeah.
around and knock on doors. A lot of people don't understand this, right? And then you're trying to give out pamphlets like Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean,
Yep.
that's a lot of people are probably more familiar with on the East Coast, and
Yeah.
some of the Hare Krishnas.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and then you literally have some van that picks you up, right, takes you to a motel. You're not living
No,
big.
so it's a little bit different. It's actually very accountable based. So when you go on a mission, you get a companion and you live with them 24/7. You live in an apartment, you have a car or a
Oh,
bicycle,
wow.
and no one oversees you. No one is there to dictate what you do or how you do it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sadly,
Wow.
there's a lot of missionaries that go out and they just waste the 2 years. They just sit in their apartment and they don't do anything. But for me, because of who I am, I couldn't do that. And so everything is very accountability based. You really could go out for 2 years and just have a vacation if you wanted to. But truly, like for me to grow, I knew I had to put in the work. So yeah, no one was overseeing me. I was like, hey man, we're going to knock doors and we're doing it all day, every day until we find what we need to find.
So you mean to tell me if I convert, I become a good Mormon boy, man, and I would sort of want to go on a mission. They'll give me an apartment and I can just hang out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And funny enough,
Listen, don't tease me. Don't tease me,
it,
Keaton. Don't tease
it's
me.
wild. It's wild. But here's the craziest part. Every one of those missionaries end up paying for it themselves. So we were in charge to pay for our missions, and it costs about $30,000 to $40,000, which the church takes and then obviously divides out. You
Yeah.
got missionaries all over the world,
Yeah.
but you actually end up paying for it. The church itself doesn't pay for it. One thing that's very different in our church is we don't have any paid clergymen or anybody that's paid. Every single position is volunteered and it's paid for by the individual that does it. So there's no missionaries out there that are living off of the church. They are paying to
Wow.
ultimately be there, which is quite a cool sacrifice because
Yeah.
when you pay more attention to what you're doing.
No question. But it's also been said that the Mormon Church is going to be the first entity that's worth like $1 trillion.
And I'll be
Church.
honest with you, I would be very surprised if they aren't there already.
Right.
I have looked through some of the financials. It's wild. The church owns the most land and the most livestock in the United States.
Can you imagine?
Like what they do, it's wild how much money they have.
I'm told $1 trillion. $1 trillion.
Yeah. Crazy. But again, that mission for me taught me so many valuable lessons that catapulted me into starting my own business.
So tell us about that first business.
So the first business I started, I jumped in and I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to start doing personal training. So I just went to a gym. I said, hey, can I just start personal training here? Let me do my thing. I'll share with you whatever you need. And then real quickly, I sold like $1 million in personal training. So they were like, hey, we want you to run our program. And I was like, that sounds like I'm working for you. I'm out. So I left the gym and I started my first real company. It was called MoFit. It stood for mobile fitness. And what I did is I took personal trainers. I went and knocked on people's doors and I said, what if I could bring a trainer to your home with equipment? You don't need a gym. You don't need anything. We'll come to your house and train you in your living room. And, I'm just this dumb kid thinking it would work.
Love it.
And I just knocked on doors. And within the first about 6 months, we were doing about $150,000 a month in income.
Wow.
And that's, for me, it was like, I'm never working for an individual the rest of my life.
I get it.
And from there, I fell in love with this idea of selling and building things, actual businesses. So I moved from there and I went to a dental office and I said, hey, I want to start a dental office. I went to my dentist and I was like, hey, what if I started a business and you just work 9 to 5 and I paid you more than you're making? And he was like, I guess. Crazy gamble on a 23-year-old.
Listen, I heard you have nice teeth. Is that true?
I don't know about that.
Smile for the camera. Let me see.
I had a dental office for.
I heard no cavities, no root canals.
No cavities. I've never had a cavity, and I think that's genetics. I don't know if that's just because I. Take
It is
care
genetics,
of
but it's crazy. I have no teeth.
So then, so from there, I just started rolling into new businesses. I started a plastic surgery clinic. I started a hard money lending company.
Wow.
I started a supplement company, a marketing company, and I just started rolling into businesses and realized I could come in, I could start it, I could sell, I could build infrastructure, and then I could move to the next one and move to the next one. And what was so crazy is I never really had any money. I was left with nothing. When my dad died, I've never been given any money in my life. So I had to learn how to build things without money. I learned the art of structuring deals. I go into the dentist and I'm like, hey man, I can't buy the facility, but I sure as shit can run it and you can work for me. You make 400 grand a year. I can make you 600. Same thing. I go to the plastic surgery clinic and I say, hey man, you're doing $1 million a year. I can make you 2 million. You work for me. You clock in and out. I'll do the rest. And crazy enough, these guys did it, which was wild. Now that I'm 37, I'm like, I would never do that with a 23-year-old. But they gave me these cool opportunities and I just started building businesses that never really cost me any money to get started because I would structure a deal that was mutually beneficial. And from that point until now, I've started or bought over 50 companies and built them.
Did you start to put away some capital for yourself?
I did. I had a goal. When my father passed away, I made a commitment. I said, Dad, I promise you I'll take care of the family. And when he died, my first goal was I would make and have, not make, but have
Correct.
$1 million in my bank account by the time I was 30. And I thought that was an insane goal. I'd never seen that kind of money. And by the way, and you know this in finance, it's one thing to say revenue, it's one thing to say a net. And it's another thing to say, how much money did you put in your bank account, right?
Correct.
And by the time I was 28, I really specifically remember, I even screenshotted it. At 28, I had $1,000,000, 13,000 in my bank account. I remember taking a screenshot, feeling like I had conquered the world. I had done everything. I built these businesses. I had great income. And then I realized, like, oh shit, my life doesn't change. I've got to go harder. And the more I go, the more money I can make and the more I can build. And that's when I fell in love again with, like, dude, it's never enough. Let's roll. Let's
So
build
you
everything.
and I have never met before today, right?
No.
We've never spoken before, correct?
Mm-mm.
So it's intriguing. You know, we're so connected in some way. If you looked at my Instagram grid, my post today, I'm being interviewed, and the guy asked me, he says, "Tell us why is it that the first million is the hardest?" And my answer is about not just making the first million; it's about accumulating the
Yes.
first million. It's a lot harder. It's harder to accumulate that million than it is to earn 10 million. And so, you know,
Absolutely.
I had the same thing when I went to Wall Street. My goal was to have $1 million by the time I was 30. And on my 30th birthday, which was March 18th, 1987, I had $30 million in my account.
So
And
cool.
I had a business that was generating me about 2 million, 2.5 million a year conservatively. And
That is so cool.
by the time I was 33, not only had I lost all the money, I owed $1 million, just so you know. And then I got sober.
Wow.
I realized I had
Wow.
I realized I finally realized I had a drug problem. but I just want you to understand the parallels in this conversation is fascinating. So
Yeah.
now, at some point, you become a TV star. What is that all about? How did
Yeah,
that happen?
so-
Now, you're buying and selling companies, you're building
Yeah, so
companies, you're putting
I'm
aside
essentially
money.
I'm launching all these companies and I'm building all these companies. And one of my high school friends, who's Diesel Dave and Heavy D, they're very famous also.
How are
They
they
came to
famous?
me.
Because I've never heard of them,
Same
but
same
I know
thing
they're
from the
famous.
TV show. They now do YouTube. We left TV because we hated TV. But we did the TV show, and that's how we all became famous.
What TV
Was
show?
via. It was called the Diesel Brothers on Discovery Channel.
Okay, and what was that
And
about?
what we did, and I'll kind of give you a preface. What we did is when social media started in about 2012, we started telling people that there was a route to market your companies via social media, but nobody believed it.
Right.
So we decided we would grow our social media and show people you can make money off of social media. So what we did, we took a big risk. We said, why don't we start a giveaway model? Now, I don't love saying this, but truthfully, we were the godfathers of the giveaway model. What you see today, people give away trucks and houses and cash. We started that when Facebook started. So we
Wow.
started growing this diesel classified site. It was called dieselsellers.com. And we realized the bigger our social media got, the more people and more eyes we had, and we could sell products. So we came out in 2012 and we said, what if we built a $100,000 truck and we gave it away for free? And everybody was like, that would be insane. And we said, all right, so here's what we want to do. We're going to make 4 or 5 shirts. We're going to make a little bracelet. And every dollar you spend with us, you get 1 entry to win that truck. Well, when we started, that was the idea. And then we took it to our lawyers and they were like, you can't do that. That's gambling. So to make it legal, you have to give everybody the option to come in for free. So at the bottom of our website, it said, you can enter for free by sending us a letter. Every letter you send us, you get 1 entry. So we launched scared as shit because we're like,
Right.
dude, we're $100,000 into a truck, right? We sold $700,000 of apparel within the first 3 months of our first truck giveaway.
Oh my God.
And we realized the more stupid shit we did on YouTube and
Correct.
Facebook, the more people followed us, the more eyes we had, the more we could market to them.
Correct.
So we started doing this crazy shit where we built the most crazy vehicles you've ever seen in your life. And guess what? Jay Leno saw us. Jay Leno's like, I love you guys. I want you out on the show. So we went out to the Jay Leno show. He introduced us, and that's when the Discovery Channel saw us. And they were like, we love these guys. We want to do a reality show. Well, guess what? We were 6 giveaways in. We were making tons of money on apparel, and we were like, nah, we don't want to do a reality show. So they tried to battle with us for about 6 months, and finally we were like, all right, let's try it. Come on out and film us for a week. We're not going to do anything you want us to do. We're going to live our lives. We're going to do our shit. And if you like it, we can film it.
Really so unscripted. It was really unscripted, you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. Because we made the commitment. We're not going to sell out and do some fake shit we don't want to do.
Exactly.
So then they came out, they filmed us for a week, and then we didn't hear from them. We were like, oh, well, we'll see if it's good, whatever. They came back to us a month later and said, Discovery Channel loves you. We want to do a season with you. We'll pay you. This is what we want to do. And we were like, all right, the only deal we're going to make, you will let us do what we want to do, or we're not doing it.
What kind of money were they offering? What kind of money were they offering?
It wasn't very much. It was about $5,000 an episode. And I think we signed up for like 12 episodes. So it was like 60 grand. It wasn't very much money.
Right.
But we realized that the eyes from TV could convert to social media.
Correct.
And then we could sell more on our giveaways, which ultimately is what happened. So we launched, and by that time we were social media famous. We had 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 followers each. We all had come up with a character. Like, we didn't name ourselves. I definitely didn't name myself the Muscle. One of the characters named me that.
How'd you get that name? Tell the audience how you got that name.
So we were doing one of our first videos on social media, and I had built a big truck that I had cut in half and stretched. And I was doing donuts in downtown Salt Lake in an intersection. It was kind of wild. And while one of the guys was filming me and him, he was like, this is the Muscle. And he's in his truck doing 360s and going crazy. And that's when it stuck. He was like, all right, man, your nickname's the Muscle. So from there, we launched our first TV show in 2014. And to this day, we have the record for the most watched premiere reality show on Discovery Channel because we already had so many followers, and we told them all, hey guys, we have a TV show. And from 2014 till 2022, we had one of the #1 reality shows on TV where we just built the craziest shit you have ever seen in your life. And I hold to that. I've seen people build shit. The stuff we built was stupid and crazy, and that's why people loved us. And then in the background of all of that, I kept building businesses. I kept the eyes and I kept the audience, and I would build my businesses based on my fame that I had gotten from TV and from social media. And then ultimately in 2022, we went to Discover and we said, hey guys, we're done. We don't want to do this anymore. And they were like, are you out of your mind? We've never had anybody tell us they were done. And we said, yeah, we get it. We're done. We're moving to YouTube. We want to do YouTube. And it was one of the best moves ever because YouTube pays way more than TV. And at that point in my life, I had built so many businesses. I was like, you know what, man, I don't really want to do YouTube. So Diesel Dave and Heavy D have kind of done YouTube. I've gone back into building businesses and mentoring and building people. And that's ultimately the story of how I got to where I am today.
But, YouTube is now owned by Google, and Google, they pay money.
Oh, they pay very well.
I'm starting to see that.
Yeah, they're paying almost 10x what Discovery ever paid us.
Correct. I get it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're also still huge on social media, bro, right? You're still.
Yeah. I kept the understanding that if I ever wanted to build anything, it was going to be through branding myself.
Right.
If you have listeners that are wondering how to start, it's always brand yourself. Your brand has to become powerful for you to become powerful. And then it doesn't matter what you do.
Correct.
If the brand is powerful, it will connect to an audience that will buy from you whatever it is you want to buy. A lot of these guys building businesses today are like, well, I don't want to get in front of the camera. I don't want to be the brand. And I say to them, then you're fucking missing out because you do not understand how this economy works. When you brand yourself, you make money the rest of your life. The better your brand, the more money you make. And I learned that. And so from then till now, I have just continued to brand myself in whatever it is I want to do. And I rebrand all the time. I was the muscle as a mechanic on a TV show, and now I'm the muscle who mentors people to make millions and millions of dollars and change their life.
I
My
love it.
brand's completely different.
I love it. In my day, we say that, you know, you need the ability to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
And that's how we used to. I love the new phraseology, and building your own business. I say, it's everybody needs a side hustle. I understand you want to work for a big company. That's cool. You need a side hustle, and
Yes.
branding yourself. All the things that you're sharing today have been my mantra throughout the course of my life, and it's just
100%.
it's so amazing for me to see a good-looking young man like you that can express yourself so powerfully. You're a powerful guy
I appreciate it.
on camera, and to share this wisdom to a younger generation. Sometimes I feel like when I talk to the 20-year-old kids, I'm like, they call me grandpa, and I'm okay with that. In prison, they call me the OG, the Godfather,
Yeah.
and I was cool
Yeah.
with that. But
Yeah.
when they hear it from a guy like you, when they hear this wisdom from a guy that was the muscle building these crazy trucks, doing these crazy antics on social media, they're going to listen to you. So you have the ear and you have the ability to really affect a whole generation, bro. And I say that to you. I know that you know that, but I'm saying
Well,
it
and
I want the
that's really
audience
my
to hear this.
that's my purpose. Is I want to have an impact now. I've made great money. I've done some beautiful things. My life is so beautiful now that I've turned around and I've seen the succession of man. And the succession of man is really simple. Number one, I take care of my needs. Number two, I take care of my wants. And then number three, the funnest, I take care of the needs of other people. And my impact is my ability to take care of the needs of other people. And I am so adamant now in my purpose. I want to impact people. I
I
want to
love it.
show people what's possible.
When you serve others, you serve yourself. Period.
Exactly.
That just seems, it's like gravity. I hate to say it. It's just a
Yeah.
law of the universe. It's been my experience. That's my life experience. And every time I get selfish and buck that, I pay the price, bro. I tell you,
Yep.
I'm a hard learner, and
Me too. Me too.
I have to be smashed in the head, and I got a thick head, and that's just my story. So I know that you've shared in the past about, you've quoted Sun Tzu, you've quoted Gary V. I've heard you quote different people, meaning you are open to receiving wisdom, mentorship, wisdom from other people. Not everything has to be learned on your own. Tell us about this journey of yours, what you went through acquiring mentorship.
Yeah, so I'm new to this mentor game. So I started mentoring about 2 years ago. And what I realized was, and I wish that my life was different so that it could be portrayed better, but I realized that I did too much work and learned too much shit in too long of a period on my own, that if I would have had a mentor when I was younger, I'd be a billionaire today.
I get it.
And so now my message to people is simple. Find someone who has the life that you want. And that means everything.
Everything.
And then ask them how much it will take for you to get that knowledge directly into here.
100%.
If you want to change, if you want to grow, it's only new information. That's it. It's nothing else. So if I could take a human being who has more information than me and say, hey, man, I don't care how much I have to pay you. I need that information because it's costing me so much money not to have it.
Correct.
I will pay you to have it. And then I fell in love with this idea and I started hiring mentors and I started being in proximity with powerful individuals. And I realized that the level at which I was at was nowhere near where I could be because I saw other human beings at such a higher level. I thought, dude, I want to have that. And I will pay for that information because that information will change my life.
100%.
So now I've fallen in love with this mentor thing. So I mentor thousands of people. I do one-on-one mentoring. I do a group mentoring. I do all kinds of mentoring. But the reason I love it so much is I tell people, listen, I may not have all the answers, but I'll tell you what I do have. I have all the failures. I know what didn't work. I did everything wrong. So I can give you information as to where to avoid the pitfalls, where to avoid the money that's going to cost you, where to avoid the time-consuming things that can show you how to ultimately cut down the time in your success. I can teach an individual in 1 year what will take them 15 years to learn.
If they're lucky
wouldn't you
enough to
pay them?
learn. If they're lucky enough to learn. Correct.
If they will actually learn. But here's what's so beautiful about it, because as soon as you start talking about mentoring, you always have that underlining idea, well, how much does it cost? And I always come back to this. How much is it costing you to not have the information?
I get it. That's my response. Do you have any idea what it cost you to not have my help? I get it. The Limitless Society, that's your mentorship group. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Talk
it's
about it.
Limitless Society, and it's essentially a group where it's a fairly cheap entry. And what we do is we teach mindset, skill sets, and habits to become successful. Very simple.
I love it.
I am very adamant about one thing that makes a difference in a human being's life, and it is personal development. Jim Rohn always said, if you will work twice as hard on yourself as you do on anything else, you will create the life that you want. Plain and
100%.
simple. So what I teach in that group is how to become a greater version of yourself, because that greater version will create what you currently seek. So in my Limitless Society, it's a very personal development based program to show people, listen, all we have to change is your most powerful tool, your mind. And then we need to add some skills. And then on top of it, all you are, the sum total of who you are, is the habits that you keep. So we shift your mind, we add some skills, and we focus on discipline to habits, and all of a sudden, life becomes what you want. And this is what I tell people all the time, especially when you're talking about mentoring. If you see what I have and you desire it, then you would come and you would ask me how to do it. And that's what's so great. I'm not the richest, I am not the smartest, I'm not the best looking, but I will tell you one thing I am rare in. I have created the exact life that I want.
I love it.
My health, my mind, my marriage, my family, my money, my influence, every single piece of my life was created to be what I want. And I believe every human being on this planet deserves that. And I'm willing to go to battle for the rest of my life to show people that they can have it and how to have it. And that's what Limitless Society is.
I love it. Now, how does someone find Limitless Society? Let's just say somebody sees this, they want to sign up, they want to join, they want to.
So the easiest route is I have limitlesssociety.com. But
Okay.
if you want to have real conversations, and I know this is going to sound crazy, I have I message every human being back on my Instagram.
Really?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I get thousands of messages a day.
You have a couple of million followers, bro.
Yeah, I've got right now between all my platforms, I have about 6 million followers. But on Instagram specific, that's where I focus my energy. So if people want to get in contact with me, it's _muscle on Instagram. They can ask any question they want, whatever they want. I have all kinds of programs, all kinds of mentorships.
I love it.
I do one-on-one mentoring, but that's for a very high caliber person, because obviously my time's very valuable to me. But
Very expensive.
ultimately,
I'm sure it's
what
expensive.
What I love is if you desire to become the greatest version of yourself, you would put all of your time, money, and energy into chasing that individual, because that individual will give you more than you could possibly imagine.
100%.
And that's who I'm chasing.
You know, when I was on Wall Street, I'm a young guy, and I would get stuck at different levels, you know, making $30,000 a month. Couldn't get past 40. Stuck between 30 and 40 a month. Sounds like good money, right? You know, 350, 400 grand a year. But I wanted more. I was capable of more. And I even had the customers, the amount of customers, the amount of capital under management, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I would knock on a door, and this guy, I would say, can I just come in and listen to you? I won't say anything. I just want to hear how you talk to your clients and your prospects. I just want to take some notes. And, you know, I'll never forget this one guy says, no. And then I would knock on the next door, and I would give my spiel, like, can I come in? And they said no. These are different groups of men. You know, I was younger than you are today. And eventually I knock on the door, and this guy is the big guy. He's like 6'2", 6'3". He was driving down on Wall Street in a convertible Rolls Royce in 1985. And, he was rumored to be one of the first guys ever to telemarket securities in America, one of the founding seven. They called it the Lehman Seven. And he says, sure, but you got to come in after 4 o'clock, after the close. And I don't want to hear a peep out of you. I'd sit in the corner of his office. And Michael Cavanaugh, Michael, big shout out, bro. And because of him, I elevated my game and never made less than $1 million a year. The funny thing is, 2 or 3 of those offices that I told you today that knocked on their door and they said, no, I'm sorry. They all came to work they came to interview at my first brokerage firm. They wanted jobs. They wanted to be, involved, trade. I said, no. It's just interesting how, you got to be very careful to the guys that, when you're on your way up, because you might see them again on your way down, right? So now,
absolutely,
your personal life. I mean, you have 5 daughters. I have 2 daughters. I can barely keep up with them, bro. And I only have 1 ex-wife. I think you have 2. Tell us about your personal life. Give us a little bit of personal information about the muscle.
So I have 1 ex-wife and I have a current wife.
Sorry
I have
about
5
that.
daughters ultimately. And I hate hearing from individuals that balance is not possible. I think true balance is what life is all about, finding true balance where you can go hard at work, you can go hard in your marriage, you can go hard as a father, you can go hard as a friend, you can go hard as a leader. And it's not so much the word balance as it is energy. Now, most people would tell you, you got to be in balance if you want to be good at something. I agree. If you want to be good at one thing, you got to be in balance in that one thing. But I don't seek that. I don't want to be good at one thing. So what I've realized is my energy that I put into one thing, I must match into everything else. Now, it may not be the same time. I may work 12 hours a day and I got to put in 100%. I may only spend 1 hour with my children, but it's still 100% of my energy that I put into it. And that's ultimately what has allotted me my success in balance, if you will. It is not the time. It's the energy that I put into it. And I'll tell you, having 5 daughters, an ex-wife, and a wife currently, it takes a lot of energy to ultimately put in what needs to be put in for me to be the father, the husband, the man that I want to be. And I'm adamant about energy, that what is put in should be very, very clear. That if I go 100% in my business, I go 100% in my marriage, I go 100% as a father, I go 100% as a friend. And if I'm not willing to do that, then I shouldn't break it off at all.
Interesting. There's a lot of debate amongst even the most intelligent, successful people regarding balance. That word, it's a tricky word. It means something different to everybody. And I'm not 100% sure that I agree, but I understand when you use the word energy. It's the quality of energy, I think. The quality of energy that I devote to my kids is even greater than anything I've ever done chasing money. I mean, but I have much less time for the
100%.
children because the daughters need money, bro. I got Venmo, I got Cash App, I got Zelle. I mean, dad, I need new shoes, I need a new dress. So is there anything else you want to tell our audience today while we have you, Keaton?
The only other thing I think I would say, especially after what you just talked about, is kind of a quote from Jim Rohn. And it's this for those people who are listening. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. And when you talked about sitting down with that individual, he ultimately taught you to become something greater. He gave you more skills, more assets, more abilities, and then you made more money, right?
Everything. My whole life got better. My whole life changed.
Yeah, it wasn't that you weren't capable of it. It was that you yourself had to become better.
Correct.
So if what I seek in life is more than I currently have, I must become greater than I currently am. And that's why mentorship is so important. That's the quickest route to becoming a better version of yourself. If I'm stuck at $1 million a year, it's because I have not qualified myself to make more than $1 million a year. Very possible, but I haven't put in the work to become that.
I get it.
So that would be my ultimate message, especially as you share that dope story. I couldn't break 300. I couldn't break 400. You finally broke it when you yourself become something greater. You were better at communications. You were better in your skills. You were better in your processes. You did it because you became greater.
There was a door in my brain that I didn't even know existed. And this guy showed me that door. And ultimately, he came to work for me. So
That's crazy.
it's a crazy story. But I want to tell you what a privilege it is, Keaton Hoskins, to meet you today. I'm so excited to get to know the muscle. You are a spectacular young man. I just see greatness in your future. I'm very good at feeling energy, and that's just one of my gifts. I have very few, by the way, but that's one of my greatest. I'm very sensitive to energy. You know, they say it takes one to know one, and you have greatness written all over you, Keaton. I hope that we can get to know each other in a more enhanced way down the road. Um, you know, you are just a special young man on an incredible journey, and I can't wait to check in with you down the road. And for my audience to pay attention, he's Keaton Hoskins, aka the Muscle. The Limitless Society.com is the website. Check him out. Mentorship, masterminding was the gift in my life. The only regret I have is I didn't do enough. I was so consumed with money and then sobriety, and I found great mentors in each part of the journey, but I could have been better at everything. And 68, this is your life. It's not a dress rehearsal. You don't get a mulligan. You don't get a do-over. So be smart, live it right, grab those opportunities. Get in touch with my brother Keaton Hoskins. He's gonna help you become a person that is much greater than you are today. Bro, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely, man. It's been an honor to spend time with you, and I do look forward to creating a relationship with you. Very, very kindred spirits, and I appreciate and honor the time that we've had together.
Amen, my brother. Have a great one.
Thank you.